like there's a real big, not issue with Instagram. Well, there is an issue, let's be honest. It's like, obviously how you use these tools and this social media is it can be such a good thing, especially if your feed is like filled with things that are going to give you inspiration or you like or you find funny or whatever. But if you're just kind of mindlessly scrolling and mindlessly consuming, then I feel like that can make you really kind of closed off and anxious. Like I remember actually seeing someone in the gym and having a conversation with him about like how when you're on your phone for a long period of time and you're immersed in this technology, you kind of like when you go out into the real world and you see people, you kind of feel a bit like tense sometimes, and you kind of that anxiety is kind of raised. And obviously, mental health and anxiety is something that's been spoken about and mentioned so much recently. And if you are indoors and you're not exercising, you're not eating that well, you're not getting that much sunlight, and you're just looking at other people's lives who are like showing you their highlight reel of their lives, then that's going to have a huge effect on your health and your mind.
Yeah, 100%. Like when I was asking Josh, not Josh, sorry, Chris, like about your Instagram and stuff, and be like, oh, can Josh share stuff and stuff like that? And he was like, no, Josh isn't on Instagram at the minute. And I was like, 100% get that, because I agree with you. There's the core like principle of what it is genius, like of what's given us, but like the use is like so wrong, and like I've had so much. Like I'll be honest, like through this project Connect that I'm doing, I haven't got loads of likes, I haven't got tons of views, but I've had some of the most interesting conversations with people from like I said, the objective of it to talk to people from different backgrounds and perspectives, and it's been awesome. And then I get myself down because I'm like, I haven't got enough likes or views on that. When it takes away from the very fact of like what I achieved and the feeling, like when I leave this now with you, I feel really good. I'm like, I talked to someone new about something, and like I learned a bit more about Storror, all that shit. But then if it doesn't get enough likes or views, I'll be like, ah.
Yeah, it's interesting how that controls your sense of self-worth, and it's that negative feedback loop that you kind of have to break, because it's interesting you say not enough likes. It's like I feel like there's two different realms of this online like social game or whatever. You got people who are consumers mainly, right? So they're not putting out that many pictures themselves, anything like that. They're just watching, they're just scrolling, right? And that can give you a negative image of yourself, because you feel like, oh, how come this guy is like getting all these likes and his life looks so much better than mine, blah, blah, blah. But then on the flip side, the mirror is that the guy who's posting all those pictures and stuff, he's now got this inflated self-image. But then when the likes don't come or someone criticizes him, he's overly sensitive and he's now trying to, maintain this facade to the world. And that is also equally as damaging. So I feel like it's almost a paradox that you get yourself trapped into, unless you can go on social media and have a detachment. So when you're on it, you're not like, oh, like I have to be this person and I have to show myself. And if I don't get the validation, then I'm not a real person, or I'm not a good person. But the moment you can shed that and be authentically you, I think you're fine. You're sorted. Nothing.
I think it goes back to what we were saying of like, what version of yourself are you going to be? Because for example, if you say you're making this stuff, you're doing stuff with Storror and related to that, but like one day you decide I don't want to do this anymore. Like you know in your heart that you want to like become a dancer or like something like that. You just want to like switch it up, and then the likes don't translate. You know what I mean? Everyone's like, no, we want parkour Josh back, and then like that big passion and like move and that heart, like change of heart is like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm. Like, so what would I do? Wait, what do you mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like that, like say you had a big change of heart for what you wanted to do, that could negatively impact you, because the online community will be like, now we're gonna not like Josh's new life of being a dancer or a painter or whatever.
Sure, yeah, 100%.
And that makes you second guess yourself.
Yeah, exactly. It's so up to you, I feel like, as an individual to take that how you will. It's obviously if you decide to do something different and you want to roll with that, then I think that if you're authentic and you're honest to the fans, to the people who are like you, then and they don't respect that, then that's up to them to feel that way, I guess. And I don't think you're necessarily letting someone down. You're being real with them and true with them. And if you're not real and true, then you're just not going to feel good. I feel like the work that you then put out, say if I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to go back to doing, obviously I'm not going to give up parkour, but this is all theoretical. If I was like, oh, I'm going to give up parkour now and do this other thing, and then I was like, oh, no, the fans are kind of frustrated, I'm not performing, so I'm going to go back, then the quality of work I put out is probably going to be crap anyway. So, it's just like a lose-lose.
Is that something you felt when you were younger, like in terms of, because I think when you're in school, what's popular? football, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you obviously from a young age were doing an alternative thing, because we talk about
Mhm.
parkour now, but like way back, we're talking like over 10 years ago,
Mhm.
like 10, 11, 12 years ago, parkour was like obviously way less of a thing. Like, was that
Yeah.
something you felt back then? Like,
Yeah. So I guess I've always been that person though, or always been a person, sorry, who just did my own thing anyway. Really, like obviously, I did enjoy doing certain sports, and when I felt the passion for it, I felt the want to do it. I could perform well, but when I didn't feel like it, I just did my own thing. And then I guess when parkour came along, and I was one of the only kids doing it, it just felt like, oh, whatever. I'm just gonna go. I just used to go at break time sometimes and just do precisions on the step and just try and get good foot placement. I just thought it felt natural. I was happy to do it, and obviously I had friends and people who came and went, and who wanted to give it a go or would try. Or some people would look and be like, "Oh, he's weird. Why is he doing that?" But it's like, who cares? It made me happy, and I enjoyed it. So I didn't really mind that much. I didn't really feel ostracized or terribly separated. If I wanted to feel separated, I'll just go and play football one break time, and then that was it. So being
well,
flexible.
I have an image of my head of like at St. Bede's, there's like the big AstroTurf,
Mhm.
and like obviously people always playing football and stuff on there, and then there's like steps down to it with some some rails, and I have like a distinct memory of like people like Chris and stuff, or whoever were interested in that thing, like trying some shit yet like over there, and like I
Mhm.
just have that in my mind, and they would, to many people would have been like, what the fuck are those guys doing there?
Yeah, it's like fair enough, but it's like it's always like that, isn't it? It's like when someone sees something, well, it's not when someone, when certain people see something that's different or new or outside of their understanding, then they just deem it as like, what's he up to? I've been susceptible of it loads of times where I see someone doing something and I don't understand it, so I'm like, oh, what? That's kind of weird. Like he's different. But then sometimes you go over and speak to that person, or you'll see it and then they explain it to you, and then you're like, oh wow, like that's
You're
cool, or
missing
I get it now.
people, aren't you? Because they're obviously like 90% of the time just normal people. It would just be
Mhm.
a normal lad that has a different interest. And I
Exactly.
feel like people often are like, oh, like Josh is actually all right. It's like, of course he's all right. He's just like a guy that likes doing parkour. Like that's
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
um
Exactly.
like, did you as well, like back then, I'm just curious, like, was it quite detached then? You were saying like you met these people through like different spots and stuff. Was like the scene quite detached? Like,
Oh
did it feel?
no, okay. So actually, no, that's really weird. I feel like it's actually funny you mentioned this because this is actually quite a big topic in the parkour realm because there's actually a guy called Jimmy the Giant who makes these now parkour kind of documentaries and some of them done really quite well on YouTube. One's got like 500K and like it's talking about like the different scenarios that have affected parkour. And one of the most recent ones is Instagram. But then to go back to when I met people and actually started to hang out in the community, even though I didn't have a phone, the community was so tight knit. You know what I mean? You go online, the forums, people were talking, connecting. You know, like like a lot of the main people's Facebook would talk, will be on Facebook groups, this kind of stuff. YouTube was in its infancy and people were uploading videos, and that was the way you'd save all your clips and your content, and then you'd put like a compilation video up of the things that you've been doing in the month, whatever. Funny enough, when I was younger, I didn't really care about filming anything. It was more just like just training, and that was it. But yeah, the community was really close. But then when Instagram came along, and this documentary about Instagram, even though Instagram and the internet kind of creates this connection with the people, right? People are especially more connected than ever. There is this kind of innate separation that's then become an isolation of people in general, and people kind of, even though a lot of good things are happening with connection and people, talking this kind of stuff, there's still that distance and that disconnection of people, and I feel like Instagram has kind of almost created that for parkour, where like obviously a lot of people are training, they're filming this kind of stuff, and they're putting stuff up, but I feel like Instagram has kind of created a certain content that people digest commonly. Do you know what I mean? So people who are parkour athletes have kind of catered that content towards the people who are watching Instagram, and like it's kind of like warped the sense of community in parkour. So yeah, if you watch the video as well, it's a really cool guy, Kieran Owen, talking about it. Yeah, I find it really interesting. But yeah, people are actually more disconnected than they ever have been in parkour, I'd say. Weird.